welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am your host, Ryan Doze, and on today's episode, we continue this Comic-Con themed week where we're going to have Christopher Fazio stop by, and he's going to tell us about his experience at this year's Toronto Comic-Con. It's going to be a great little chat that we're going to have. We're going to talk about cosplay. We're going to talk about superheroes and comic books being more mainstream today, and he's going to give some tips and tricks on going to Comic-Cons, whether you're a cosplayer or you're just a regular person who wants to enjoy a cool event. He's going to give us some tips on how to do that well and get the most out of the experience. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out, a thank you to our Patreon members over there on Patreon, joining the Thor Core. For just a few dollars, you can get access to all of our bonus material over there. We've got a great podcast over there that's exclusive just to Patreon called I've Got Issues. We have some episodes of that up. We have our Untold Tales series coming out. Those are short stories where I just share some ideas that I have about characters within Thor's universe, and maybe you enjoy these fresh little odd stories that I've put together. And then we have some great tidbits of conversations that didn't make it onto the main podcast. We're going to post some of those coming up soon. Lots of great stuff going up on our Patreon, so check out the link in our bio and you can get access to that for just a few dollars a month. That would also help support the show. So great way to both support the show and get some awesome content. But be sure to check that out after you listen to our conversation with Christopher Fazio and we talk about his trip to Toronto Comic-Con. Here is that conversation right now. Okay, Faz, so we're here to talk about your time at Toronto Comic-Con, which you did, I believe, a few weeks ago. And I just wanted to let the listeners know what it's like for you as a cosplayer to go to a bigger con in a bigger city. What was your experience like at this year's con? Was this your first time going to Toronto?
Yeah, so this was my third, I think, Toronto Comic-Con.
Okay.
They also have the same company. It's called Fan Expo. They do a lot of the big cons in Canada. So they're also in charge of the big one in Toronto that's on Labor Day weekend.
Okay. So you've been through the ringer before. What was this year's experience at Toronto Comic-Con like?
So this year's had the crowd of Fan Expo without the space. It was crazy. Like, so many people were clearly just really excited to be back at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
The exhibitors, there were more than usual. The artists, there were more than usual. There was about the same amount of cosplay as usual. And so many quote unquote normal people, which was really cool to see. So many families, so many kids, so many people who just were excited to get back out and see one of these things. It was Toronto Comic-Con is usually a smaller event.
Okay.
Where you have like a few things here or there going on. It's mainly like cosplayers meet up with their friends. There's some exhibitors, there's some artists, not too many guests. But this year with this many people, I'm sure they had a great time for everybody who had businesses there.
When you say that quote unquote normal people were there, like, do you mean like people that just weren't in cosplay or?
Yeah, so usually at Toronto Comic-Con, there's a really high ratio of cosplayers or exhibitors or artists there to just regular fans of this kind of content. But this year there was so many regular people. Fan Expo, in comparison, is the one that most people will go to that are just like, they're not there to dress up. They're there to maybe meet a guest, or they're there to buy some really cool stuff at the exhibitor area. But Toronto Comic-Con is usually a smaller, more laid-back one. So it was really nice to see just the sheer number of people because, like I said, like there were kids, and there were a lot of kids dressed up too, which was great to see.
Did you have any, like, I know I've talked to other Thor cosplayers where like kids will come up to them because they don't know the difference. Yeah. But like, did you have like anybody come up to you and want to like take pictures with you or like ask you about your cosplay?
So the best part about these conventions is the kids, because just like you said, they believe you are the character.
Yeah.
And what'll usually happen is like I met, I think, 3 little dudes that were little Thors. And
Oh
they
my
were like,
gosh.
sir, I'm dressing up as you. It's so great to meet you. And I was like, oh, buddy, that's great. I gave them my hammer. They were worthy. They were super excited. They
That's
usually
awesome.
had some sort of art that their dad or mom had bought them, and they showed me like, look, it's you on this, and I'd be like, yeah, buddy, that's me. So it was that's always the best part. Whether they're dressed as Thor, there were or if they're not dressed up at all, but they just recognize you as Thor. The best part for me is always to interact with the kids. When they get a little older, they realize that obviously you're not the actor who plays Thor, but
Yeah,
those ones will like shout quotes at you and you respond back with other quotes, and then they'll
yeah,
like
yeah.
laugh and wave and everything, and that'll be a lot of fun too.
It becomes more of a game as they get older, and like they slowly realize like at heart like you're a big kid as well, who's like living out part of your dream.
That's exactly it. The older kids will say things like, well, I shouldn't be able to lift your hammer then, right? Can I give it a try? And then those guys will have to be like, no, sorry, you're not worthy. It's gonna hurt your hands, buddy. Or let them be like, hey, you made it. And then he'll run over to his friends, look, I'm worthy, and go from there.
So like it's great because like then you become in on the joke,
Yeah.
and then you just that's what I love about Comic Cons too, is like there's so much. I mean every event has a bad apple or two, but for the most part you have this shared community where there's a lot of camaraderie with the things that we hold in common with other people that you maybe never met before, and you maybe will never see after, but like
Mhm.
for that moment you're almost like best friends for a second. And
And it's just like you said, like most events, like if I was to walk around in a Thor costume in public, I get a lot of interesting looks, right? I get some that are like, hey, that's awesome. I get some that are like, what is this man doing? And everything in between. At a convention, it's 98.9%. Oh man, that's really cool, right? Which
yeah,
is,
yeah.
it's like your kind of people all there. And that's why it's really cool to see the non-cosplayers there, because it's just like we're mainstream, Ryan. We're getting there.
Yeah,
Nerd
well,
culture is popular now, right?
you know what's so funny about that? Hey, quick aside to that topic. I I work with a lot of college students now. I interact with it's crazy. I'm in my early 30s and I'm about to say I'm interacting with younger people. and and they're part of that like generation where like they don't remember before comic books were mainstream. And I'm
Hmm.
just sitting there like I legitimately got bullied over this. Like
Yeah.
I legitimately like when Spider-Man came out and X-Men came out in the early 2000s, like it still was kind of like, oh, you're gonna go to those movies.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's almost an assumption like superheroes are cool now because they're so mainstream. And I was like, man, more power to you guys. But I remember when it was not this way. And like I've talked to even like older guys, like we've talked to Will for our new
Hmm.
comic stuff. Like Will can definitely remember a time that it wasn't cool. And so it's kind of cool that now you have these interactions at cons, and it's just like though the assumption is like that guy's cool because he is dressed as the thing that he loves, and it's not weird or abnormal anymore. To
And for me, even like I'm only 26, but at the beginning, that's exactly how it felt. It was like, I don't really want to tell anybody that I'm doing this. Like people are gonna make fun of me. It's gonna be rough. And to a degree that did happen, but flash forward 5 or 6 years from when I started doing this, and it's no longer like that. Like people go, oh, that's cool, nice, cool. You did that.
yeah,
Like, and you also learn about more people who do this kind of stuff. If it's not cosplay, they're really into something else, right? And it just gets equated. Like, oh, you love Marvel movies. I love hockey, and we just chat about our interests that way, right? So
yeah,
it's
like
been really nice how it's changed, like you said, from people making fun of people who love this kind of stuff to literally everybody being into it in some capacity.
yeah. I remember I had somebody that was even like, oh, that's still like nerdy stuff, and I'm like, why don't you look at the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time and tell me if it's still just a nerdy thing? Like just and you could throw Star Wars and Avatar and all that kind of stuff in there too. You tell me what's more mainstream. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Um, but going back to more focused Toronto Comic Con stuff, was there any like did you have any interactions with maybe some of the creators, the guests, celebrities, like other cosplayers that just like really stood out to you coming out of the event?
So this time, there weren't any creators in terms of like comic or celebrities that I got the chance to go talk to,
Okay.
but reconnecting with cosplayers that I either know through Instagram or from past cons was really nice. And a
Yeah.
lot of them, because we were still wearing masks in Canada, the or in Ontario, the mandate lifted after the convention, so everybody wore masks.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't notice who half the people were. So I'd be like, oh, that's like a really nice Scarlet Witch. Good job. And they'd say, oh, that's a great Thor, great job. And then like 3 days later, we'd be like, wait, was that
That
you?
was you.
Oh, that that was me. Oh, cool. All right, hi.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
that happened a
That's
lot,
good.
and just reconnecting with people. There's one amazing Grandmaster costumer. She has a entire suit she made herself out of fabrics that have photos of Jeff Goldblum throughout the whole thing.
What?
So she's got her robes are entirely gold bloomed, and she's got like gold shoes, and she's got the entire Grandmaster of it. She's incredible, and getting to
That's
see
so
her for the
awesome.
first time in a couple years was great. And then I connected with my buddy Reed Props Plus, who's the one who made my helmet and painted my hammer and did a lot of the upgrades for me. He and I were able to run into each other a couple times. I visited him before the con. It was his birthday weekend, so we went for dinner afterwards. Like a lot of reconnecting with people we hadn't
Nice.
seen in forever, and then a lot of stuff like the thing about cosplay is a lot of people have cosplay Instagrams, but a lot of them don't, right? So a lot of people I don't know, and I get to meet them for the first time at these things. There were some really good Thor costumers,
Oh,
whether they
really?
were little kids or there was a really good female Thor, like a Jane Foster. It was
Nice.
not armored, it was like fabric, and it was really nicely built. And there were a lot of really good costumes out there that you wouldn't meet unless if it was at these conventions because they just do it without constantly sharing on social media.
Yeah. More of like a private passion project that every so
Yeah.
often you bring out into public. But like yourself, I mean, you've got your following on Instagram and several different, cosplayers I follow. I'm just like, man, if I had put this much work and stuff into it, I would want to, not as like a, like an arrogant thing, but I would be, hey, here's my creativity on display.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like was it a few days ago you did an edit from Dark World where
Mhm.
you're holding the hammer out in front of you, and it's the scene where Thor's like he's blocking some kind of energy, and I was like, now that stuff needs to be on Instagram so I can see it all the time. Like I would hate to be like, oh, there's this guy called the Fazgardian that like doesn't have any Instagram. Like, man, to each his own. But like, I'm glad that you share your stuff, so you're connecting with people that both you had known previously. Was there anybody that you met and you were just like, oh my gosh, like one creative person to another, like I respect what this person is doing, and like you didn't maybe know them ahead of this?
So that Thor for sure. I had
Okay,
like
awesome.
passed her a couple times and she passed me, and we didn't like it's so jam packed that you don't like say hi or anything. And then like later on I like ran into her and was like, hey, let's take a photo really quick. And she was like, oh my God, I wanted to ask, but I was embarrassed because like you were with these other people. And I was like, oh
I
cool, of
wanted
course we can
to
take a
ask.
photo. Yeah. So the two of us, because the thing about these things is if you don't know the people, it's a little weird to like walk up and go, hey, can we get a photo? That's a really cool
Yeah,
costume,
yeah,
right? I've been to so many now that I'll be like, that Dr. Octopus is sick. Let's get a photo. And he'll be like moving his tentacles or whatever, and I'll be swinging my hammer, right? So,
nice.
but when you're new to this stuff, like you don't know how people are going to be. You don't know what other costumers are going to be like, right? In my experience, 99% of them would love to take a photo,
Yeah.
but you never know. And if it's your first time, who knows, right? But yeah, so the Thor was really good to see, and there was just so much. They had a cosplay red carpet at one point, and the line was like an hour and a half long, I think.
Jeez.
So I imagined that, and like looking at the list, there were so many great ones. Like there were some insane Fallout costumes,
Oh, okay.
and just like the genres are wild. Like you'll see a million Star Wars things. The 501st Legion's always at these sorts of things, so that's the as close to screen accurate as possible. You have to get
The
certified
official, like,
guild. Yeah,
yeah,
the official costumers. They were featured in The Mandalorian when they didn't have enough stormtrooper suits available. Like these guys are
yeah.
crazy legit, and there's always a whole bunch of them there. And yeah, it's there's just so much, and there's so many great costumes. Oh, one guy that in Toronto that you'll probably want to find on social media afterwards
Okay.
dresses up like George Lucas. And I swear he is a dead ringer. Like every time that someone sees him, they go, "Oh my God, I can't
I
believe they
didn't
got
know
George
George
Lucas
Lucas
at a
was in
con
this.
like this." Yeah. And he takes photos with them. He hangs out with the 501st Legion. He's really cool.
Oh,
And
that's
that's one
so
of the ones that you
good.
just have to, yeah. And he's got the face, right? He looks just like him. He's got the body type. I don't know if he wears like a suit to make him match or if that's just how he looks. He's got the perfect costume for it. He has the shirt and the pants. It's tucked in the right way.
Yeah.
So
Oh
those
my
ones are always
goodness.
just mind blowing.
I've seen those where like people will do, they won't do like characters or actors. They'll do like behind the scenes people. And it's like, if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like, if you're aware of what that person actually looks like, you're like, your mind is blown, because they're like, George Lucas is not a character. He's a person that could in reality actually be at a Comic-Con. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember I'm at a smaller Comic-Con that I had gone to a few years ago. There was a Stan Lee impersonator there, and Stan Lee was still alive at that time. And I was like, I had to do 2 double takes. I was like, no, no, like, because like the reality to me is like Stan Lee is not in Cheyenne, Wyoming at a Comic-Con. No, he's not. But then you're like, but whoever that guy is, I'll bet you he gets like double takes all the time. Like, and it was, he did the same thing where like you do pictures of them and everything. I love when people go that next level and they do like creator cosplays. I mean, man, I can't wait to check out this George Lucas, George Lucas of all people. Like,
So good.
and his Santa Claus white hair.
Yeah. And the Santa
But
Claus belly. Oh man, like if you look exactly like someone like that, you have a duty
yeah,
to bring that costume to life for people,
you have an
especially someone as
obligation.
celebrated as him, right?
Yeah, your obligation is clear. You must do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told, my wife constantly is just like, you should do a Jack Black cosplay. I'm like, I am not doing that. She's like, oh, I got the perfect one. You could be Nacho Libre. I was like, definitely not doing that. Like,
Well, Jack Black himself is posting cosplay things all the
oh,
time in the pandemic, right? So
he is
you could
so
always
funny.
you could always spoof those. That would look pretty good.
Now that would be funny. I'd have to grow out my beard a lot, but
Yeah.
he like does like Captain America ones where he's just
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. See, even celebrities do cosplay. I mean,
Mhm.
at a certain point, what is acting other than like you're cosplaying a character that's from the world of fiction? Like these guys that do Marvel movies, it's like they don't have that costume in their closet at home. It's not a thing they just wear out in public, unless you're
Some of
like,
them do, right? Some of them will take them home and they'll put them on and they'll do hospital visits and stuff
I
like
know like
that. Yeah.
Chris Pratt has done that as
Yep.
Star-Lord. I know,
Chris Evans does that too, I think.
yeah, Tom
Yeah.
Hiddleston famously went to San Diego Comic-Con
Mhm.
as Loki and like was Loki. He
Yeah.
didn't like, go as Tom Hiddleston. And I think, that's just so cool when like guys like they're so recognizable as a character. And I mean, even now, like I think you might be able to speak better to this, because of people coming up to you at these events, but now people associate the look and feel of Thor with Chris Hemsworth, as
Mhm.
opposed to like, oh, you're Thor from the comic books. They're like, no, you're Thor from the movies. So really, like, at a certain point, are you kind of cosplaying Chris Hemsworth as Thor, instead of like going back to a comic book and being like, I want to look like this picture?
Yeah, I think it's I will never be confused for Chris Hemsworth because firstly, I'm 5'8.5" and he is 6 something ginormous.
He's a monster of a man.
But I think like it's a combination at this point, right? Like my
Okay.
Dark World suit is obviously the Dark World from the movies, but I wear the helmet. And the
Yeah.
helmet he doesn't wear in Dark World,
He
but I've
does.
got it because it's my hair's like I have 2 wigs. There's one that's a darker wig and one that's like a kind of bleach blonde comic-y style. And I like wearing the comic side of it, right? So
Yeah.
it's really like people who cosplay Thor now, there's people who want to do it exactly bang on, and that's what I do with a lot of my stuff. Like Infinity War, I want to get as close as possible. I've done the like scar eye makeup so that it looks right.
Yeah.
I thought about having 2 different colored contact lenses because he's got 2 different colored eyes.
Right.
But then there's also the people who want to do their own versions or comic versions, and the great thing about cosplay is that it can be whatever you want it to be. And
Yeah.
people will still know you're Thor if you've got a hammer. They'll definitely recognize you if you're wearing an MCU suit, but if you're wearing anything where you've got a wig or a helmet and the hammer, people are like, that's Thor, so cool.
Yeah, yeah. So and I think that like even with like your Green Arrow stuff, it's like you if you're wearing like a green hood and you've got a bow in your hand, there's probably very few people that are going to be like, oh, you're Robin Hood. I get it.
Yeah, so that happens more than you'd think. There's
Oh,
probably,
really?
I would say 30% of the time it's, oh, Robin Hood, interesting. Then 30% of the time it'll be like, you look more like Robbie Amell than Stephen Amell, but they'll know exactly who it's
More
supposed
like,
to be.
hey, either way, that's a compliment.
That's what I say. I say I'll take that. I think he might even be more attractive. That's a win,
But
right? Yeah.
you're
But
like, oh no, Robbie Amell, darn it.
but then yeah, the rest will be like Green Arrow, awesome, and then that's you'll meet a lot of other Green Arrows too. It's a really popular character. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to just kind of close out with, because I know throughout our new comic episodes, like we've told listeners about some of the cosplays you have coming up, and on your Instagram lately, you've let it kind of come out what the Love and Thunder cosplay is going to look like. Can you share any updates about that as we get closer to the movie?
Yeah, so it's coming along nicely. SMP Designs is designing it, and he's doing just a phenomenal job. It's going to be foam and pleather and leather put together, a few 3D printed parts. It's coming along. It should be ready pretty soon. The colors, guys, are fantastic. It's going to
Yeah.
look so good when it's done. The one knock that people say about Thor suits is that it's all gray, black, and red, which looks really cool, but after 8 suits, it starts to kind of blend.
Yeah.
This one is blue, bright gold, silver, gunmetal
Yes.
gray, and black. It is ridiculous in the best way, and I cannot wait to show you guys how it's going.
It's gonna stand out so crazy. Like it's so unique, like compared to the MCU looks as up to now. And you got a vest recently that is just completely awesome. The Fazgardian vest. That, I mean,
Mhm.
you could sell, if you had like an online store, you could sell those. That'd be so nice.
That one was we have one set photo of Thor wearing that vest,
Yeah.
and I saw that, and I messaged Leather Fashion Valley, and they were kind enough to be willing to take it on. We don't know what it looks like from the back though.
Yeah.
So we were like, what should we do with it? And I was like, hey, it's like an 80s theme. It's like a biker theme. Why don't we put a patch with my logo on the back, right? And my editor, Props YM, made that amazing logo before, and they were like, yeah, we'll embroider that on. That's perfect. So now I've got something that I think's really cool for the back of the vest. Yeah.
It's almost it almost kind of reminds me of Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket.
Yeah.
And maybe you've said that before, and that's where it connected for me. But then you got your own little stamp on it. Looks phenomenal. The helmet always looks great. The hammer always looks great. But was there anything, just as we kind of like slow it down here and bring this shorter episode to a halt, is there anything about Toronto Comic Con that maybe I didn't ask about, or something that you feel like fans should know about going to cons? I know we talk about cons very, very limitedly on the show, but this week being kind of a con week, I wanted to, maybe if there's anything you feel like people need to know or should know before they go to a con, that'd be great to share.
Cool. I'll start with Toronto Comic Con and Fan Expo specifically. The Fan
Yeah.
Expo brand is really well run. They've been doing it for a long time. They're the biggest ones in Canada. They've got some in Dallas and other areas too, and they do a really good show. So like if you want to meet some pretty solid celebrities, they might not get the top MCU guys, but they get all the best TV people. Like I've met Stephen Amell there. They have Riverdale cast often. They've got they had Zachary Levi one year and we saw him. He
Ooh.
was really cool. So they Jason Momoa. There's some really great names,
Yeah.
and the people are great. Like the cosplayers, the exhibitors, everybody's having a great time. I would always recommend, if you're going to go to one of these things, to buy something, because that's where these people make a lot of their money,
Yeah.
and it supports the great art that they're making. Like some of the stuff you'll see is mind blowing. And if you're trying to decide, should I spend that $10 on that poster? I would say spend that $10, really support them, get something cool, put it up on your wall and enjoy it. For cons in general, I would totally recommend going to one if you haven't yet and giving it a try, seeing what it's like, walking through, seeing all the cool art, seeing the cool cosplayers. Maybe you'll decide you want to start making art like this. Maybe you'll decide you want to start cosplaying. The community at large is very inviting. They just like any group that this big, there's some bad eggs out there, obviously, but in general, people are really supportive. If it's your first time, if you don't know what's going on, you can ask people around and they'll kind of tell you the tips.
Yeah.
And I guess the only other thing I'd give as a tip is if you're going to be cosplaying, to make sure you drink enough water and make sure you eat enough food.
Okay.
Yeah, because usually what'll happen is you'll be in your suit for 8 hours and you won't think about that stuff because you're worried about like messing with the suit. And then you'll finish and you'll have a big headache and you'll be exhausted and you'll say it was totally worth it, but I am sore. And you
Right.
want to be saying I am Thor, right? So instead, the best thing to do is to stay hydrated. That's something that I never do and I need to get a lot better at. I am good about eating. That's just the Italian in me. But
just those carbs and those proteins, you just keep them coming. They're like, Faz, you should have some water. You're like, no.
And cons always have pizza. So it's hard to say no to a slice of, pizza is not great on its own, but at like hockey games, at conventions, it's so good.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say no to it for sure.
That'll be the tagline, like this episode. It's like hard to say no to pizza. Faz is like big moment of wisdom for you all. Well, Faz, thank you so much for sharing with us what it was like to go to Toronto Comic-Con, get back into the con season, and to kind of put a cap on this con week where we shared the thing I was able to do over the last weekend and sharing your adventures at Toronto Comic-Con. I really appreciate it, man. We'll see you very soon because we got lots of new comics coming up. And
big one's coming, man.
Boy, howdy. I feel like we need to do like a preview episode just for all the stuff that's coming up. The next 3 months, I looked at the schedule, the next 3 months are insane. And I can't wait. So we'll see you later, Faz. Have a good rest of your night, man.
Sounds good. Thanks very much.